I never believed in déjà vu until the night she arrived. It was raining in long silver sheets across the city, the kind of rain that bends neon into ribbons and turns every puddle into a mirror. I had just gotten home from work, tired, hungry, irritated by the constant humming of the building's failing power grid. My apartment was a shoebox stacked on the 73rd floor of a tower that swayed slightly in the wind. Inside was the usual clutter, old mugs, my data screens blinking with half-finished research papers, and the faint smell of synthetic coffee. But when I flicked on the light, she was standing in the middle of the room. Her skin shimmered faintly, like polished stone under moonlight. Her hair fell in black, silky waves, and her eyes glowed with a strange scarlet hue that burned brighter than the neon outside. She was dressed in something that looked like a cross between ceremonial robes and tactical armor. Smooth plates, dark fabric, and a high collar. I froze, every instinct screaming intruder. But before I could open my mouth, she whispered, "You came back to me." And then she smiled, revealing teeth that were just slightly too long, too sharp. The beginning. I backed toward the door, my hand reaching for the emergency comm panel, but she raised one elegant hand. The panel sparked, short-circuited, and died with a faint hiss of smoke. "You don't need to call anyone, Kieran," she said softly. "I am not here to hurt you. I am your wife." The word hit me harder than a gunshot. "Excuse me," I demanded. "I don't even know you." Her head tilted the way a curious predator studies prey. "Not in this life. Not on this world. But your soul, your essence, remembers me whether your human mind admits it or not. We were bound long before you were born here." I stared at her, heartbeat thrumming like a drum. She was either insane or I was dreaming. But then I noticed something stranger. The longer I looked at her, the more familiar her face seemed. Not entirely, but fragments. The curve of her cheekbone, the tilt of her mouth. I had seen her in dreams, fleeting images that haunted me for years. The dream woman who always appeared at the edge of battlefields, reaching out a hand, calling me by names I couldn't pronounce. "What are you?" I whispered. Her scarlet eyes softened. "My name is Selhara. I am of the Umbrathi, the travelers who drink the blood of sons and men alike. Some call us vampires, though we are far older than your myths." "And you?" She stepped closer, and I could smell a faint metallic sweetness on her breath. "You were my chosen across lifetimes." That night marked the unraveling of everything I thought was real. She told me stories while I sat stiffly on the edge of the couch, trying to keep my distance. Stories of an empire beyond the visible stars, where her people lived in ships carved from dead moons, thriving on plasma and life force. She spoke of wars against beings of light, against hunters who had nearly destroyed them. She said I had once fought beside her, long before I was reborn into this human form. "Impossible," I said over and over. But she answered every denial with a look that burned through me. A look that carried the weight of centuries. When I demanded proof, she lifted her sleeve and showed me her arm. The skin shimmered, then split like liquid shadow. Beneath it wasn't flesh but a glowing lattice of energy, like veins of crimson light. Then it closed again, sealing seamlessly. I should have run. Should have called security. Should have hidden. But something in me stayed rooted, unable to move. Because deep inside, against all reason, I wanted to believe her. The middle. Selhara didn't leave after that night. She simply was. When I went to bed, she was already there, sitting on the edge as if she had every right to be. When I made breakfast, she leaned against the counter, studying me with unblinking fascination, though she never ate the food. At first, I thought it was a hallucination, that I'd snapped under stress. But neighbors saw her. The doorman bowed to her like she radiated authority. People stared at us on the streets, not because she was strange, but because she was too beautiful, unervingly perfect. And every day, she whispered more fragments of a history that was not mine. "You died in my arms," she said one evening as the rain painted streaks across the window. "You told me to wait, that you would return. I have waited through the burning of worlds, through the collapse of suns. And when I found your essence again, hidden in this fragile body, I came." Her devotion frightened me more than her teeth. The turning point came one night when I woke to find her standing over me, watching me sleep. The city was dark from a power outage, and her eyes glowed faintly in the shadows. In her hand was a glass vial of deep crimson liquid, pulsing faintly like it was alive. "What is that?" asked voice hoarse. "Your blood," she said gently. "I took only a little while you dreamed. Helps me remember what you once were. And it helps me survive here." Rage flared. "You fed on me. Without permission." Her expression flickered with pain. "Do not mistake me for a monster. I would never drain you. I would rather perish. But without sustenance, I cannot remain in this form. This world burns me slowly." I wanted to throw her out, to end it all. But then she reached out and pressed her cold hand to my cheek, and something deep inside me broke. Memories, shards, images, flashes, rushed through me. A battlefield beneath a blood-red sky. Holding her hand as we ran through collapsing ruins. Her lips on mine, tasting of iron and starlight. Dying in her arms as fire rained from the heavens. Gasped, stumbling back. What did you do to me?" Her voice trembled with something like joy. "I unlocked what was already there. The days that followed were a blur. My work suffered. I barely left the apartment except when Selhura urged me. She began teaching me. Strange meditations, breathing patterns, rituals that tugged at something ancient in my bones. I began to sense energies I'd never felt before, like currents beneath reality. And with each lesson, the memories grew sharper. Not full, not complete, but enough. Enough that I began to wonder if maybe she was telling the truth. Still, the fear never left me, especially when I realized others were watching us. One night, as Selhura and I walked the dripping neon streets, 3 figures stepped from an alley. They were dressed like priests, but their eyes glowed with pale blue fire. Each carried a staff humming with power. "Return what is not yours, Umbrothi," the tallest one commanded. "The human soul belongs to this cycle, not your parasitic bond." Selhura hissed, her teeth gleaming. "He is mine across eternity. You will not take him." Fight was swift and brutal. Light versus shadow. I barely understood what I saw. Blades of energy, tendrils of darkness, the smell of ozone. Selhura moved like a predator, fast and elegant, tearing through them until the survivors fled into the storm. But when it ended, she staggered, clutching her side where light had seared her flesh. I caught her trembling. "Who were they?" "Hunters," she whispered, eyes dimming. "They guard the cycles of rebirth. To them I am a violation. But to me, you are all that remains of my universe." And then she collapsed against me, weak, vulnerable. That was the moment I realized I had to choose. Either reject her and return to the fragile life I knew, or embrace the impossible and step into her endless war.